Welcome back to the South Dakota Transplant. It's been chilly here this past week in southeast South Dakota. Ground temperatures are still well below 60. In fact, they're back down close to 50. It's still not time to plant your squash, your cukes, or your melons, and we're still a good 2 to 3 weeks away from being able to put in warm weather crops like tomatoes and peppers. Be patient, it'll be worth the wait. My onions are in, my leeks are in, and my spinach, my kale, and my lettuce are all doing very well. These are good cool weather crops. My rhubarb also is up and doing very, very well. This week we're going to talk a little bit about injuries that you could face while gardening, both prevention and treatment. At no time should this be taken as medical advice, just good sound suggestions for first aid. Never put off medical attention. Let's start with sunburns. It is really easy to lose track of how long you are outside. While getting sun is good for you, especially if you work inside during the week to get enough vitamin D, don't let that trick you into thinking that getting a sunburn is good. When you're out working in the sun, it is really easy to go from bright red to purple to blister. Generally, when I work in my garden, I try to wear a hat, a long sleeve shirt, and either jeans or long shorts. And sometimes it's really hot, but it's better than getting blisters, which I actually do very easily. I try to make certain to wear sunscreen, and I remember to reapply every couple of hours. Regardless of how waterproof your sunscreen is, you will sweat it off. As a gardener, consider planting aloe as a houseplant. If you get sunburned, you can break open a leaf from an aloe plant and use the gel inside to help cool your burn. While blisters from a sunburn are bad, they're not terribly common, but blisters on your hands or feet are much more common. Using manual implements like a hoe, rake, or shovel can cause your hands to blister. Gloves can help reduce this risk. Also, after a long winter inside, the first 2 times you are working outside might cause blisters on your feet. So consider wearing boots to help protect your feet. Boots can also help protect your feet from other gardening injuries. Ground bees live underground and can easily sting your feet if you step on their entrance. Boots will also help protect you from stings, as well as other things on the ground, like nails or other items left over from last year, or even if you accidentally leave a rake in your yard. South Dakota presents some unique plant-based first aid needs. We have stinging nettle, we have poison ivy, and we have poison oak. Nettle gets into the skin and causes it to itch and may cause a rash. We also have a lot of thistles, as you can see in this picture. Thistles are difficult to pull and feel on your hands a bit like grabbing fiberglass. This is where gloves really are useful. In South Dakota, poison ivy can either be a vine that climbs a tree or it can be a ground cover. In most backyards or garden plots, neither poison ivy nor stinging nettle will be nearly as common as thistles. Even if you don't have any of these weeds, don't start grabbing at things to pull them out if you don't know what they are or what your reaction will be. Different growing zones, seasons, and soils can cause plants to have a different reaction in different people. Don't stick your unprotected hand and arm into brush and start pulling. Insect stings are pretty common when working in the garden. South Dakota is blessed with quite a few varieties of bees, which we need as pollinators as well as wasps. To remove a stinger, scrape it with a knife or credit card. Don't squeeze, and don't use tweezers. Minor cuts, scrapes, and splinters happen all the time. Keep some alcohol wipes and Band-Aids handy. In my experience, one of the most common injuries is simply going to be muscle pain. Gardening uses muscles you don't likely use in any other way, even if you regularly exercise. Repeated bending over, pulling on weeds, crawling on the ground, lifting equipment in and out of your vehicle, those are all repeated actions with different muscle groups. Consider stretching a bit before working in your garden. Keep some ice handy or frozen vegetables, as I like to use, to put on sore muscles, especially your back, when you're done. The most common injury and potentially the most dangerous is also the easiest to prevent: dehydration. When gardening, take frequent breaks to drink. Treat gardening as a physical activity, like a sport. Think of it this way: You are outside, you are in the sun, and you are working out. Drink, drink, drink. We've talked before about how gardening is a great way to teach your kids. Minor injuries are no exception. Help them learn through doing. Teach them how to put on a band-aid, wash a cut, or recognize the plants that make them itch. Getting hurt is a part of life and a part of gardening, and the risk is well worth the reward.
That's it for this week on the South Dakota Transplant. Next week, we're back to containers, talking about raised beds, talking about building your own containers in a limited space, and talking about garden plots. As always, if you have questions, seek out the help of your local extension office or a master gardener. Until next time, I'm the South Dakota Transplant.